Welcome back to another episode of Elevated Dialogue here on the Uncle Junior Network. I go by the name of Uncle Junior, and with me are today's Wolf Pack members. The mindset coach himself, Mr. Dwayne Dwyer, the man of many hats himself, Mr. Rolling Down Your Street, the most talented artist in California, Mr. Antoine Christopher. Last but not least, the first time Wolfpack member, the only pastor you will ever need, Mr. Pastor Squeeze Smith. Mr. Pastor Squeeze Smith, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just glad to be here, man. How's everybody doing today?
Hey man, we good, man. This your first time on the show.
It is.
Welcome. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
I would definitely like to take this opportunity for you to take a couple minutes and introduce yourself to the panel officially and to our audience and let them know who you are and what you're about.
Okay. Well, my name is Pastor Gary Smith. Y'all might have heard him call me Squeeze. That was an old high school name. Like if I go back to Virginia, if I go back to Roanoke, that's the only name I'm ever gonna hear is Squeeze. But yeah, I am a pastor here in the beautiful town of Georgia, city of Georgia. Um, Been pastoring about 15 years now. Took about 8 years off. Let's be real about it. Can I kind of be transparent on here? I was a little upset at God for like 8 years. Uh, I was going through my divorce and I kept asking him why. So, I was a little upset with him, but I got back on it. We kind of got together. So we came back. Let me see what else about me. Just got married again. 1 year in to my second marriage. Beautiful kids. Got a senior, got a junior, got three other kids. They all older. So I'm just heading down, man. So I'm just glad to be here.
Amen. I appreciate that. Hey, tell us about that AVOW. What does that stand for?
A vow. If you look in the books of Acts, chapter 24, it say, "I vow to thee that I that I pretty much is going to hold on to the word of God." I mean, I can go on and on and on, but I want to make it really simple. A vow ministries was started about 3 years ago, right before the pandemic. That was the name. God told me to go back and go back and start teaching his people, and I was like, nope. And he was like, yep, and I was like, nope. So when I first started back, because I was a pastor of New Covenant International Worship Center in Union City, and we actually had the building and all that. So when he said it, I was like, no problem, too easy. I just start back New Covenant. I'm good. And it wouldn't let me start. I had to really separate everything. So I was sitting at Old Charlie's, and I was looking up, trying to figure out what it was, and a vow, to boldly confess unashamedly the word of God. And that's where it kind of stemmed from, and that's the foundation. And then we went into the book of Acts, chapter 24, and from there it just goes. So yeah.
Amen. I appreciate you again for being here and appreciate you breaking that down for us. Make sure you give me your information. We'll drop the information down in the description once the show is over.
Okay, no problem.
All right, man. So welcome to the show, every one of you who have decided to take time out of your lives to be with us tonight. I appreciate you. Welcome to the most elevated chat on YouTube. That is where the real dialogue is happening. So feel free to be a part of the conversation or ask a question. We may answer it for you. I want to give a special thanks to all our servicemen and women who are out there doing what they do to keep us safe. We salute you and thank you for your service. If you are tuned in today, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. Go ahead and hit that bell so you will be notified when new content drops. Um, we're gonna get into it in a few minutes, and the title of the show is "Who or What is Your Baseline or Foundation on the Matters of Relationships, Your Mindset, and Your Health and Fitness." We want to go into a little bit more detail, like we want to kind of unpack all of this stuff. All of us have experiences, but I want to kind of go into like how is it that we on this panel live our lives? Like, what is the foundation? Where are we getting these principles from? Some people get them from the Bible, they may get them from the Quran, they may get them from Big Mama, they may get them from their dad, a mentor, whoever. So I just want to kind of break that down a little bit, and even our experiences, and kind of go through with the around the panel, and to let the audience know, kind of sort of where what our baseline is for growth. Um, Most men on the panel are in their 40s, and we have had many experiences. Throughout our lives, we have had to make millions of decisions in our relationships and when it comes to our health and fitness. When this comes with this comes a certain level of mental capacity and mindset needed or not needed to have success in these areas of your life. But where did we learn the mindset to make effective decisions in our relationships? Where do we learn the information that gives us the mental stamina and discipline to maintain a healthy lifestyle? For some people, it may be religion, the Bible, or another set of unwritten set of principles. Some of these decisions we made in the past were based on bad information. As we grow, there is a chance we still may make a decision that we will have to learn from because the information may not have been properly vetted or just plain wrong. On today's episode of Elevated Dialogue, I would like for us to share what we use as a guide for how we make decisions in our lives in the areas of health, fitness, mindset, and relationships. And I know that was a long intro and we 8 minutes in, but so we'll just jump right into it, man. The first question up is: was there a time where you did not have a guide in your life? I don't even want to start with what guides our life right now. I want to go back because I know we all have some set of principles, but I want to go back before that and kind of talk about where was there ever a time in our life when we did not have a guide?
I go, I guess. I think even when I would consider myself not necessarily having a guide in life, I had a guide because there were street principles, there were big mama's rules, there were family structures that I adhered to, and it ruled how I did everything in life. It dictated how I ran my family, how I saw a wife and what she was to be for, how I said I was going to rear my children, the whole nine. Uh, I don't think there was ever a time where I didn't have. Now, it may not have been structured to where some people would see something as being the right thing to do, but it was what I knew and what I was taught coming up. So I think I've always had some form of a guide, but not necessarily the proper guide or proper structure to live the type of life that I live and adhere to now.
Yeah, I guess I'll go after Roland. I gotta agree with everything he said. I think there's always been a guide. Whether the guide um, taught me the right thing or not, that's a whole nother story. Whether the guide was me wanting to do the right thing or not is a whole nother story. I think some of the things that some of the issues that we run into, especially when we really pay close attention, we have the more influence in our younger years through a social guide. You know, what is, especially, and I think we talked about this a few weeks back. Um, what is the cool thing that we were doing at that particular point in time? I remember years ago, man, people we used to wear our clothes backwards, man. You know what I'm saying? The crisscross there. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Like we all around the same age, I
Yeah,
think. Um, so it's just stuff like that. Whatever the latest fad is that become your guy. I think my mother got pictures. Man, my hair was all the way up to here and it was flat. I had a whole flat top back in the day, the whole kid and play thing.
yeah,
But so those are simple examples. But you can look at the more extreme examples to go along with it as well. How you respected people of the opposite sex, how you respected your elders. We again another conversation we had to where back in the days it took a neighborhood to raise a child. This day and age now, you better not say that to my child. So it's the guide changes based upon the season. We kind of mentioned season before we got started. So whatever the season is dictating at that particular point in time, that season can be a very influential guide to your children. Therefore, the parents are very, very necessary to be the guards of the gate to ensure that the guides, the principles that are taught within the home, it has to be that. So I'm in complete agreement with Roland. My guide has always been there, but the guide probably wasn't the right guide, and that probably what led to my behavior at that point in time.
What you got there, Pastor Smith?
Like, it really, Mr. Rowland was dead on. I think even from, if you go back to elementary school, or you go back to, let's say, daycare. That's, and a matter of fact, let's go back to your auntie babysitting you. The very first thing they're telling you is yes and no. Sit down, be quiet, watch TV. Like, they already starting to lay a foundation of what you can and cannot do. And then from there, it just goes from the influential people in your life. Like Ms. Rowland said, if you a street dude, you got street rules. If you were somebody that was kind of sheltered, then you got different rules. So I mean, I'm in 100% agreement with like Mr. Rowland, Mr. Dwayne. I mean, it's what it is. It's like, well, it might not be pretty, but it was a guide to some effect. So
What say you, Mr. Antoine?
I've always had a guide. Being raised with two parents and two older brothers, I've never had a chance to even get out of line. And when I did get out of line, they wanted me to get out of line to learn my lesson. Um, so they were, for major things, I always had somebody to go to. Like I said, I wouldn't touch my father with the nurturing stuff because he'd look at me like, "What are you coming to me for?" But definitely go to my mother for that, right? Like all the girlfriend stuff and the stuff that, kind of like, the caring stuff, the soft stuff, the stuff that you really want to know answers to, but you're too shy to ask, manly man kind of thing. So I always had a guide, but because my father was strict as hell. Like, you couldn't eat, sleep, and breathe without him saying where to go. That park meant, come home from the park at 7. Don't come home at 7:01. I swear to God, it was like, yeah, that's my 7:01. So I always had a guide, and I always had two older brothers to keep me in line. But like I said, they would let me make the mistakes I needed to make, and they loosened it as I got older and rebellious and got to the age of, yeah, you want to learn, go. I want you to go. Now I do want you to go. Now I want you to listen to your friends. Go. I'll be here to catch you, but go. That's how I got it. So I don't think there was ever a time to this day I still have them, right? To this day I have no problem crying in front of my dad, asking him, bawling, saying, listen, I do not know what to do. I'm in this situation. Because he always has a wise word to say. Something that like, Jesus, where'd you get that one from? Oh, you come up in the islands. The islands, they have these sayings that just resonate. That grandmother that just says something to you, and you're like, God damn, why didn't I think of that? Like, wow, okay. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? So that's my answer.
Yeah, I feel you on that. As I'm thinking about this now, I was thinking about it before. I was wondering if like there was a time in in early high school years where um, my dad wasn't around, right? So for whatever reason, and I was out there, my mom had 4 other kids that she had to deal with, and I was one of the older children, so I had a little bit more freedom. And I'm trying to wonder if I had any guide, like dad wasn't around, mom, she like I said, she was busy working and dealing with 4 other kids. So it's kind of like even like my friends and stuff like that, like they didn't really persuade me or guide me per se or anything like that. And I was kind of out there flapping. So, this kind of goes back to what, all of you guys said, and even coach about, it's a lot of social things that guide you early years. So, and I would say, if anything, that's probably what I was moved by, like what's going on. Like, someone said, like, what's going on in the streets? What's this? What's the latest and greatest clothes and fashion and stuff. So, um, I agree with all you guys, man. I appreciate all of that. I want to jump into the next question. This goes back to the pretty much the topic of the show before we break it down. So, what is anybody definitely jump on this. But what is the baseline or guide for how you live your life right now? But again, I do want to break this down later on to a specific relationships, mindset, and health set. But this is just overall.
Hey, I'll jump out the gate first. And this might be consistent. I mean, it might be another unanimous decision here. But in my older age, given all the things I've seen in my life, my guide is the Bible. That's the answer. That's the flat answer across the board for me. And as we start to dive deeper into this discussion, probably more will begin to unfold. And for me, what I will say is that understanding or that desire to go to the Bible after going through all that foolishness that we just talked about came from my original guide, my mother. Because when I was young, my mother used to make me sit and read and study the Ten Commandments. I had to recite it to her. Um, and so it was just little stuff like that. And then later on, that turned into some degree of curiosity to where, and I know somebody mentioned a while back that they didn't like to read. That was me. I hated reading. I did not want to read whatsoever. And you gave me the Bible, said, read this. That book is too thick. Give me something with some pictures in it. Right. So later on, I was like, okay, well, let me, there's something to this Bible thing. Let me read it. And as I started reading it, I started realizing that I enjoyed reading. And so I started reading it more. And so I have read it from front to back several times. I've read it in different formats, just dissecting it and coming to an understanding of what it is myself. And then getting on conversations with like minded individuals so we can share our different perspectives about what we understand and how it relates to our life. And then in another format, how it also, how it relates to what we're experiencing now in the world. So my answer, without a doubt, is definitely the Bible.
Okay. I think mine would also be I go further with that and say the scriptures because I adhere to also the apocryphal books, those that were removed from the Bible. So, when it comes to the scriptures dictate everything for me. It tells me what I can and can't do, how I should and shouldn't live. And it's not just a how to book, it's a historical book. So when you look at it, you say, man, they were enslaved here, delivered. Boom. They were enslaved here, delivered. Boom. They were enslaved. So it's always a cycle of when you don't do what the book says, what the God of the book says, you find yourself in peril. You find yourself in situations. And it also just tells me how to treat people. My neighbor, I didn't know him from Adam, but he has young children. I don't. And I make sure, like, I'm not going to do anything to his children that he wouldn't approve of. And he looks out for my house. He came across as a person that was caring. And I could have said, well, I don't know your kids and all this, but the scripture tells me to love my neighbor. And if I'm loving my neighbor, I got to love him as I love myself. So that means if I see his children doing wrong, I got to jump in. I can't just stand idly by and allow wrong to continue. But I've developed a relationship with him where he understands my intent for him and his household is the same as it would be for mine.
What you got, Antoine?
I'm gonna say, the Bible's in my life, right? I don't believe in the whole Google blah blah, Moses kind of thing. But the Bible's in my life. I believe in God in my own way, and that's that. So I'm gonna say the Bible. I pray like everybody else. I ask for guidance, lead the way and all that stuff. That's great. I'm not a church going man every day, but I do go on the important holidays. I try to show my best face forward because I don't believe in the traditional every Sunday show up. Everybody's just looking at what everybody else is wearing. More like it. Nobody's really there for a purpose. I find, from what they turned it into. Me personally. So, but I have my own relationship with God. So that being said, I was raised well. I know right from wrong, and I'm not scared to ask a question to somebody that I know knows the answer. So I'm always able to go back home and get the answers. And if I pray to God, I know it's going to come out of my mother's mouth, the answer, or my father's mouth, right? Because he ain't going to come down, hey, buddy, what's happening? This is what you do, right? But he's going to speak through other ways, other people. He's going to send me a sign, something he's going to let me know what to do. So I have that, and I have that clear understanding. But I would give my 100% raised well by my parents. Never did drugs. I can honestly go back to them to this day. They always have the right answers for me because they know my character. They know me. They know how hot-headed I can get, right? So I'd say they're my guidance right now. And slowly, I can see my father saying, you're going to have to look in the mirror one day and answer yourself, right? So I get that. I get that understanding. But one thing they instilled with me was right from wrong. You see others being damaged, you see others being hurt, don't be that guy that looks away. At least voice your opinion to bring change about. Period. You know, if you're going to turn your head, fine, turn your head, but don't have opinion on about it. But if you do something, then you can have an opinion about it, right? Don't say it after the fact. At least put your 2 cents in before you back away from something. And if you know you don't belong there, don't go. So I really, really was raised with that structure, you know? And I understand, like, you know, I didn't live a posh life, but I know where trouble lies. I'm able to see it. So my guidance really is my family. They know me best. They know me best. And they can always put me in check no matter how high I think I'm getting. Right? It'll take one word from my older brother to say this, and I'm like, ooh, okay. So yeah. Because I need answers. I'm the type of guy that needs answers. You know, I don't just pray and listen for a sound to come, and I ain't doing all that shit. I need an answer. Right? So I know that when I pray to God, the answer is going to come through somebody in my family that's going to speak it to me, because he knows that's the way I need to hear it. Right? You're not going to throw it at me, because I'm going to look at you and laugh and go, yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah. All right. Got you. You know?
Hey, I hear you, man. Hey, Pastor Smith, I'm interested to hearing what thus said you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, but your video
I'm
is
frozen.
frozen.
That's what I figured. I was frozen on my side. I'm once again, you know, Dwayne kind of hit it on the head when he said everybody was going to say the same thing. But the funny part for me is because I am a pastor, you know, now the Bible and the scriptures and, you know, the Holy Spirit and all that stuff, you know, it does guide my life. It does, you know, it gives me the baseline. But I'm going to take it a little step further. It is the Bible, it is the word, but it's my past experience is what guides me. It's like, you know, something, I made that mistake once. And I know the Bible told me not to do it then, and I still did it. And you know something, I'm a little older, I'm a little smarter. Like, I'm not gonna do that again. So it is the Bible, it is the scriptures, it is the Holy Spirit, it is, you know, everything that these guys are saying. But for me, I think the biggest thing along with that, or that works with that, is my past. It's like my past is what's giving me my baseline at 44 years old. Is some things that I'm not going to do because I know it's just not going to work. So, you know, that's just me. That's just me. Like I said, I love the word. You know, I am a pastor. I get all of it, but I think my past is what drives me back to the word to make sure that I'm doing it right this time, and making sure that the word that I'm getting is a right now word. Because what I read about that scripture or dealt with a year ago, it might not have no effect on me now, or it might look at me differently, or it might sound differently, or I might have to handle it differently. But it's the past for me.
Welcome to the show, Across the Table with Chris. How you doing today, man?
I'm well. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, doing well. Glad to see you. So man, what say you? What is the guide or the baseline for how you currently live your life? You know, we're going to break it down in a little bit about relationships, mindset, and health and fitness, but just overall, just looking for just a baseline.
I think Pastor hit the nail on the head. My past experiences are my baseline, because I never, ever, ever want to relive anything that happened in my past that has affected me in a negative manner right now, because I'm in a stage where I'm unlearning everything. Like, literally, I'm literally starting completely from scratch. So I can't start from scratch without taking into consideration the things that happened to me in the past, knowing how that got me here, and knowing that if I continue to do those things, I'm not going to progress. So, yeah, my past experiences are my baseline. I mean, I have coach, I have Roland that I can call, I have you that I can call. I mean, I have people around me that I can go to, but at base level, it's mostly I don't want to regress. I don't want to go backwards. So I got to look at my past and understand that those things are things that I can no longer do. I'm in a different stage.
Gotcha. I'm gonna build on all of that. All of the thing. I don't necessarily say that the Bible is necessarily my baseline, but I would say that a lot of my information, the way that I live my life, is based off of biblical principles. As growing up, I was in church 10 times a week. Father was a minister. He used to preach on Wednesday nights. My mom was a missionary in the church. So the most of my adolescent years was spent in the church. So that's where I really developed the baseline, for just life in general. And it carried over a lot of it into my adulthood. Like Pastor Smith said, my experiences played a huge role in that too. And then not only my experiences, but the experiences of other people are very valuable to me. I had a friend a long time ago in Arizona. His name was Courtney Powell, and he was like, this was at the time when I was married to my first wife, and he was just like, man, everybody thought that we had this perfect relationship. And he was just one thing that he said, man. He was just like, man, if I can learn, he said, because I want to be married one day. He said, if I can learn from other people's mistakes, I don't have to make those same mistakes in my relationships. And that was something that always stood with me. So, to like I said, I'm piggybacking off of everybody and just adding a little bit to it, adding a little bit more season to the chili. You know what I'm saying? I know that's what they make down in Georgia, especially right now in this snuggle season. So cornbread and chili. But for me, that's what really it is, those growing up baselines from the Bible, my parents, what they taught me, what I learned in church, what I learned from my own experiences, and then what I've been learning from other people. If somebody, they're going out and doing this and they're having bad results, not saying that I'll have bad results, but I'll look at this situation and be like, you know what, maybe I already don't want to go through what Coach been through. Maybe I don't want to go through what Antoine been through, So that's where I'm at on all of that. I do, since I just brought it up, it might be a good way to jump in, to segue into our principles when it comes to relationships. Some of us up here have been married, some of us are on our second marriage, divorces, whatever, never been married, all the above. So this should, I'm thinking that this may be a little bit different, but I am interested to seeing what everybody has to say. Pastor Smith, if you there, I would like to start with you. So what is the set of principles? Because like you said, you were married before and now you're married again. So I would like to see, what is the set of principles that you use to guide your decisions on your relationships?
Well, this is, I know some of you guys don't know me, but I'm really consider myself to be kind of a transparent pastor. And, and I can only give you guys, like what it really is for me, like my authentic self. When I got out of my first divorce, when I got out of my first marriage, and to keep in mind, I didn't have, I didn't want to get that divorce. Let me be very clear about that. I didn't want to get that divorce. I didn't want to end the marriage. I was literally running from not running, but I was literally ducking and dodging the man from giving me the paperwork because I didn't want to accept it, right? And then once I accepted it, got that subpoena and going back and forth to court. Once it went from that into my marriage, I went through a phase where it was like, I'm gonna go back to these streets. That's what I got. Hey, God, listen, I've been married at this point for 12, 13, 14 years, like women here. And, getting married at 23 years old. And I'm like, okay, I got this. And the thing that really helped me was, and a lot of you not, was I just surrendered to God. Like I literally was like, God, listen, if you don't stop me now, I'm in Georgia. The ratio is in my favor. It's been to be serious out here. But what guided me, absolutely. But what guided me was in my relationships and my decisions was once again, my past. Knowing that wasn't gonna be going down those roads, being a womanizer, doing this, doing that, with those relationships, hurting people's feelings, and like I said, being here in Georgia, opening yourself up to all these different women. No, I just couldn't do that, and it was dangerous. So I was like, no, absolutely. I was like, God, you got to do something. And the one that I thought, or the one or two that I thought that he was gonna put before me, was not. So it wasn't, it wasn't nothing magical. It was me saying, God, listen, if you don't do it, I'm fitting to go to these streets. And that God just brought me back, and he settled me down, and then he made me fall in love with him first. So that relationship was established first. And once I got that relationship, once I got my vertical relationship together, my horizontal relationships became a whole lot easier, because I was able to prioritize them. I was able to put them in the right perspective. And then when I found my wife, it was like, wow, like, she's here. She's been here the whole time. Like, God, you sure it's her? Okay, all right, it is. And I'm an actor, and I haven't regretted it since.
Who's up to bat? What is the guide that you use, for your relationship? What is the set of principles you use to guide your relationships?
I guess for me, it's all about being honest. It's all about being real with what you want and who you are. And if that person that you're in a relationship with can give it to you. So I guess my set of principles is to always be honest and to always be righteous. And to understand that for me, it's about the whole. Before it was all about me. Me. And if you're not giving me what I want, the way that I want it, and I'm not compromising nothing, then it's a wrap. But now I'm starting to understand that relationships are a give and give. It's not like a give and take. I give, you give, we build. So I guess that will be the baseline principle. If I can't be honest with you, and if I can't be righteous in my decision making for the whole, then there's no reason for us to even continue. Because like I always say, if I'm in a relationship with you and I care about you, I can't lie to you. I can't. It just doesn't work. Like the two can't correlate. So
Yep.
that would be my baseline principle. There are little things, you know what I'm saying, that we all have and we all deal with, but that's the baseline. Be honest. Just be honest and be righteous about the whole situation. And always have an open line of communication. Trust you. I want to be able to trust my partner enough that I can talk to them about whatever's on my mind. And I want to build that trust in my partner so that way they can come to me and talk to me about whatever's on their mind. And I won't view it as an attack on my personal. It's more like, this is how I'm feeling. You're not a bad person, but this is how I'm feeling. You understand what I'm saying? So I guess that would be where I would start, and it builds from there.
Honesty is very important. That's a good one.
What you got, Roland?
I was waiting so somebody else can. Now, what was the question again?
Oh, what is the set of principles you use that guide your decisions in your relationships?
Do unto others. I try to treat people right. I try to treat people like I want to be treated. And even if someone's nasty with me, I'm not one of them tit for tat people. You nasty, so I'm gonna be nasty because I think that brings me to your level. And if I'm trying to be better, if I'm trying to show my children better and everything, then I'm looking at it like, I can't be Charles Barkley where he says, I'm not a role model. I always got to look at myself as I'm a role model to somebody. I got 12 grandkids. So I'm always a role model. I'm always looking to be the better person, the bigger person. And like sometimes in my family, they hate it because I'm the person always trying to get people together, get people to see well, she ain't meaning like that and all this other stuff, because I hate turmoil. I hate being at odds with people. I love to joke. I love to laugh. I love to love. So when you can't, I don't think you can be in that realm when you find yourself, you always vindictive or always looking for the negative. You're always looking to be, and nobody's perfect at anything like that. And yeah, I get upset, pissed off, however you want to word it. But my mentality will always check my mentality. Because if I find myself acting like I don't act or as I shouldn't act, then I check myself. And then I have other people around me of like minds that'll make sure, like, dude, you need to fix that. You talking a little reckless. And I'm not above reproach. So I think my guide is just the simple fact that I want people to treat me like I treat them.
Yeah, I like that.
Go ahead, Antoine.
No, I like what he just said exactly. I govern my life like that too. I like people to treat me how I like to be treated and how I treat them. And I like the fact that Christopher said honesty because I like to be brutally honest because I live my life. You can't make bad news sound pretty. It's still bad news. So just tell me so I can get on it, right? I don't want like people dancing around or looking for the right time to tell me something. It's the right time when you tell me it. That's how about that? Right. So I love that. I love that. And I surround myself with people that get me. I don't try to go outside of the box. I don't need you to like me. I just need to get what you need from me and what I need from you. I know who my friends are. I know who the people, my acquaintances are, and I know who the people I can depend on. And I like it that way because then I'm not second guessing. I can always pick up my phone because there's no number in there that doesn't have a name to it. And if you're in my phone, that means if I don't pick up, what I'm doing. And if I say I'm going to get back to you and I don't get back to you, you don't get upset. And I like that honesty from people, right? I don't need the whiners and all this sort of stuff. So I govern myself like that. So I live my life hoping that the person that comes into it, I say, listen, I'm not the greatest guy. I'm not good with names, but I'm great with faces. So you don't get upset over the petty things. If you need my help, you can count on me. So I really take pride in that and being able to be honest with everybody. Because everybody's always, I like to say, I lie like the next guy. If I really can't see you, I'll come up with an excuse. If I really don't want to see you, I'll come up with an excuse. I'm telling you now, because I have no time to get into the whole hoopla thing. But it's a little white lie. It's not going to be the whole, something major. Everybody tells a lie every day, whatever. But the people that I am surrounded with get me. And I govern my life with that. The honesty I could tell them, And they know I don't need to say thank you all the time. They already know I mean thank you. I can call up my friend right now, bring me something over to eat. I don't have to go to the whole, oh, thanks, man. I ain't doing all that. He knows, man. Because he knows he can do the same thing with me. Right. And I love knowing I have friends like that. Yeah. So I like those two things. That's really, really cool.
Hey.
I like how you said that, Antoine, because what you're saying to me, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is you want everything around you to be upfront and honest, and it is what it is. And I think some people may take it as the aggression or it's not coming how they see it or want it as a negative, but you're free being you, and that's what you want to be. I want to be able to be me and you be you, and we should be able to get along, and you know what to expect from me. And to me, that develops a trust because I know Antoine may give it to me raw, but he giving it to me straight. And
Yes.
at the end of the day, I can trust him because he's a man of his word, period.
Yeah, man, you know what? That's very observant. Exactly. My mother always said to me, if you want to know if a dress looks pretty, go ask Antoine. Just go ask him. He'll tell you if you're wearing the right dress. He'll tell you. And if you think anytime, she always say that to all my cousins that were girls. You want to know if you look good? Go ask him. He's going to tell you honestly. Straight
How
up.
old was you, Antoine?
You know what?
Wow.
I ain't gonna lie. I've been drawing my whole life, right? So I was,
Five.
I was
Kids that age ain't got no filter,
Yeah.
bro.
you know, I'll tell you something.
None.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm visual, right? I'm very visual, so I break everything down to colors, shape, and size. So I see it. Being able to drawing naked women all day, I could tell you if they're real breasts or fake breasts. So I'm very visual that way. So when I look at you, I break you down into sections and go, oh, okay, cool. And I could tell you if something's off if you had work done, because I draw the human body, right? That's what I do with my little classes here and there. So having that, bro, he nailed it, man. He was like, man, Roland, you nailed it.
Antoine, you be posing nude? What?
Huh? Yeah, well, figure drawing. We call it figure drawing. Yeah.
You know something, and I'm gonna say this. I know it's Dwayne's turn. I think it's Dwayne's turn. So I'm gonna just jump in real quick. What I keep hearing is the heart of the man. The reason that somebody can take what Antoine say and not get mad or deal with Chris across the table, Chris, they can deal with him and be honest with him because they know his heart. The way that Roland's saying that, hey, I am a mentor, or I am a role model to somebody. And it's almost like the principle of keeping your heart clean and your character clean is what carries you. So that means people are actually able to say those things, and you have to say those things because they know who you are at the core. They know your heart. And I think that's what I keep hearing. And I want to make sure that people understand that, like, one of the biggest principles, I guess, now that I kind of got a gist of what that question is it's the heart. It's the heart of the man, because you guys are all talking the same thing, and all those qualities can only be given and received if you have a clean heart. Because if not, they're gonna be like, yo, you a big jerk. Like, you, I want to say something else, but you're like no, that's not gonna work, dude. And you can be wanting to fight somebody, or they can be wanting to fight you. But if you got a clean heart and it's coming from out a clean place and they know you, that's when they know, hey, I can trust what Antoine say. I can trust what Chris say. I can trust what Roland say. I think that might be what made Dwayne a great coach. It's the fact that people know, hey, it's coming from a good heart. He ain't trying to profit off me. He ain't trying to do this. He's coming from a good heart, from a good place. So that's what I just want to kind of add, that little tidbit in there.
I like that.
You summed that up beautifully, because it really, you spoke to about 3 different conversations I had this week, and they were not pleasant conversations, but they had to swallow their pride and realize that if I'm saying it because I care about them. I'm not saying because I'm trying to damage them. And I think that kind of gets after what was what you just said, as you summed up what everybody else said so beautifully. To kind of spin off of this question that Uncle Junior asked, like I started off by saying, the Bible is my baseline, right? But everything else that everybody said is the thing that I use to vet off of the base. I vet everything else off of the baseline. The experience is something I was supposed to have used to learn from, not use against anybody else. So it got to, like you, Pastor, it got to a point, man, because I was the one who divorced my ex-wife. But I was at the point of no return. And that's why I did the whole thing, because we talked about this, not too long ago, right? When Jesus was crucified, the disciples went back to fishing. And that's what I did. I went back to fishing. And then I just had to have a sit down, and I sat quietly with myself. And as I'm sitting there, then I'm starting hearing some things. And for whatever reason, Romans 12:2 stuck in my head, and I couldn't get it out of my head for whatever reason. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you can prove in summation the perfect will of God. So I got proactive and I started studying that scripture. And I'm thinking it must be something significant about the mind. And so as I started researching the Bible, there's a lot in the Bible about the mind. I'm like, wait, I've been reading the Bible for years. I never really seen it like this. Okay. So then as I'm studying this, it's like, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness. So now I'm looking at these scriptures from a different perspective. Because you know how it is when you're young and immature, you read the Bible and say, yep, Pastor Smith guilty of this. Yep, Chris is guilty of this. Yep, I've been reading this right here, and Antoine, you're guilty of that. No, that's wrong. Seek ye first, right? So now I'm reading it and I'm looking at this guy. And so those 2 things really propelled me in the direction. And then as I'm going into it, I'm looking at it and I'm like, hold on, wait. So everybody's talking about this love thing. Love, 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 love. And you can line 10 people up. What's the definition of love? What's the definition? And I'm telling you, line 10 people up, and they're going to give you 10 different definitions of love because they don't know what love themselves is. So I started on the journey of wanting to understand what love is because God is love, right? And it said because of that, that's what led him to do what he did in essence, giving his only begotten son. So I started reading because I want to understand why I got a divorce, why my marriage didn't work. Not so much as why I know why I got a divorce, why the marriage didn't work. So then I started studying Ephesians 5, the entire chapter. I'm like, okay, got that, understand it, heard that for years, but make it make sense. So I'm digging, I'm researching, I'm studying. And then from there, 1 John chapter 4, where John literally breaks down love. And then it started making sense to where we view love different pertaining to the individual that you're talking about. So if I'm with this young lady and she has a son, what she gives to her son is unconditional because when he mess up, she correct him, then she accepts him and reinstate him right back in position. But when it comes down to adult, we treat people differently when it comes down to love. So if you mess up, now I got to put you on trial and I'm going to be judge and jury until we get to the resolution that I want to get to. That's not unconditional. In fact, when I went back and started thinking about it, it's like everything about me being a husband was based upon the condition of what I did in the relationship. And if for whatever reason I failed at one of those things, now it's an issue. So I started leaning into that and studying that a little bit more. I'm like, So now this puzzle is starting to come together in my head. Now, mind you, you asked the question earlier about the guide. I never had anybody to put that puzzle together or help me put that puzzle together as a young boy. That's what got me into what I'm doing right now. But going back to it, I'm like, okay, so it has to be more. So as I'm studying, I'm realizing that every piece of science that I was studying prior to fits perfectly. I don't care which one you talk about. The law of gravity, the law of reciprocity, the law of polarity, the law of like you name a law, it fits perfectly. So I'm like, okay. So got it. So as I'm start thinking into this, because at this particular point, I'm a leadership coach at this point, right? And so I understand the art of leadership, and the art of leadership, the way that you build culture, it should be transparent. So transparent is important in a relationship. So it's important for us to be transparent with people, not just in the organization, but in your home as well. So husbands and wives got to be transparent with one another. And so I read a book, written by Ray Dalio, and Ray Dalio was the one who kind of introduced me to the concept of radical transparency and radical open-mindedness. So at that point, I'm like, well, wait, I can't be honest with some people because they're going to have an emotional response. And once they have an emotional response, that teaches me that as Antoine said, my brutal honesty is not welcome. And I sat and I thought, I'm like, how many men suffer from that? How many men actually exist in a situation to where they can't really be completely honest simply because they fear the repercussion of an emotional weapon? So transparency and open-mindedness. However, the key is that you must suspend judgment. So information at this particular point in time is neither good nor bad. Because if you think about it, the only reason information that you receive is ever bad is because you don't feel good about it. And I had to get to the point, I had to be brutally honest with myself first. If a person doesn't feel good about the information that I give them, that's a them problem, not a me problem. So at that point, even when a person expressed how they feel about it, I would sit quietly and let them harness what it is that they're experiencing. And then when they ask me, are you going to say anything in response? No. I said what I said. I shared with you my honesty. Now you're sharing with me how you feel about it. I don't have the right to tell you that how you feel is wrong. What more do I need to say? And so from there, because again, radical transparency, radical open-mindedness, suspend judgment. Then from there, I realized my environment must be comprised of people who can exist in that space. People who, number one, love God. People who, number two, seek God for themselves. They don't just depend on what somebody tells them. They don't just go to church on Sunday and listen to what pastors say. They actually go and read and study for themselves. And we can talk back and forth openly and honestly about the word of God. We can even disagree on a point, but we have what is called thoughtful disagreement. We're not arguing, we're not bickering, we're exchanging perspectives to see either your perspective is more clear and concise than mine, or mine is more clear and concise, or the combined perspectives is the higher calling. And so all of those things got me to the point to where I can meet and have a conversation with anybody. But based upon your belief system, I don't, because again, it kind of goes back to what I said a couple of weeks ago. I don't necessarily look at trusting a man or a woman or any person for that matter, because the Bible never told me to do so. It told me to trust in him and lean not to my own understanding. So if we have the same belief system, I deem you as trustworthy. So with that being said, now that opens the door to see if my environment will be conducive for everything I just talked about. And when I started doing that, my peace went from down here because it was suppressed by so much anxiety to up here. And that's just it.
And I like that. Who's next? I'm still digesting that. Go ahead, Pastor.
Dwayne, you said something earlier. I want to make sure I heard it. You said something about when a man make a decision, or you made a comment about when a man made, man, what did you just say? Because as soon as you said it, I started thinking like, man, I'm gonna think about it.
Was it if a man tells you how he really feels,
right?
then he has the repercussion of your emotional attack?
That right there. I deal with I counsel a lot of men, right? I counsel a lot of men, and that right there added to the fact that most men don't know how to respond. Well, they don't know how to handle the response once they say it. So if me and you are in a conversation, if me and my wife is in a conversation, I really can't tell her how I feel, because if I tell her how I feel and she react, I don't know how I'm going to hold myself together off her reaction. So therefore, I'm not going to say nothing. Does that make sense?
No, that does make a lot of sense.
Most men are in that same thing. Well, I'm at work. I want to tell my boss this because this is a better way.
Right.
But if it's not, then I don't know how I'm gonna take that rejection, because now I don't know how he gonna look at me. So therefore, I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. And then now the project don't go as quickly because of that.
Yeah. No, you make a lot of sense. Makes perfect sense.
So I think that's I'm gonna steal that.
No, you're good. It's freely. I give freely, sir.
Free chicken.
I'm giving freely, so you don't have to steal it. But this is because I talk to couples as well, right? Because I do a lot of couples counseling. And one of the things that, because we sit down and we have open discussion, I tend to be that mediator. So I ask the very difficult questions situationally and see how to respond. And then one of the things I ask is that, what is the thing that prevents you, and that's for both of them, what is the thing that prevents you from being blatantly honest, right? Just whatever it looks like. Like I think Antoine mentioned a dress. If you ask me how you look in that dress, and I think that dress is about 4 sizes too small, I should be able to tell you honestly, 4 sizes too small. That dress is too small for you. You need to go find something else, right? What is the thing that prevents you from doing that? And one of the large population of responses that I've heard is that because I know if I say what I'm really thinking is going to hurt her feelings.
And it's going to cause an argument.
Absolutely.
And, we're going to go, it's going to go completely left. Because when I talk to couples, Dwayne, I'm the same way. I'm like, why can't he be honest with you?
Yeah. But see, I take it a different route. And that's a great question, right? But I don't even know, a lot of times when you ask that question, they know how to respond. But I always go back. I say, why do you feel compelled to ask whether or not, get to seek it? Because for most men, there is no alternative in that response. Like if you ask me a question, it should be a 50-50 thought in your mind that I'm gonna either say I like it or I don't like it. But that question right there is a trap. Like literally, because most men, they're like, I'm not going to answer that question. And then the negative, honey, you look fine. Let's go. And then the other part, it might take another 45 minutes to get ready if you tell them no, right? So it's like one. So I go back to the other side. Why did you feel like? Do you feel that you need, his blessing? Not so much as what you wear, because he knows what you got in the closet, right? But you feel like you need his validation. Like, why did you feel compelled to ask that question? And a lot of times, it's literally that. Like, I like to know. You got to catch the words. I like to know that he liked what I'm wearing. Well, if you did not know he liked it, why did you buy it?
Right. Why is it in the closet?
Right. Exactly. I'm sorry. I think Roland's about to say something. Well, Chris.
Yeah. Oh, Chris, you were going?
The whole not being honest for fear about how the other person is going to take it, I don't have that anymore. I don't. If this is why I asked, I'm like, are you sure you want me to answer this? Are you sure? I always say that. I'm honest to the point where I'm not afraid to take a L or a loss for being honest. I would rather lose you over honesty than keep you over not saying nothing, and then it fester and then it blow up into something else.
Yep.
Just get it out, just out the gate, because I'm not going. Because like I said last time, it's like you have a feeling in your body when you're not being honest. I don't like that feeling, so I would rather not feel that and be straight up with you than to hold that in, knowing that I'm not being real with you. And we progress and then something else happened. And then I say, that's why I didn't like your big butt in that dress the other day. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I always say, don't ask me anything if you don't want me to be honest with you, because I love you. And I'm not going to lie to you because I love you. I can't lie to you and love you. I can't lie to you and love you at the same time. The two worlds can't exist.
Exactly.
See,
and that's important. Oh, go ahead, Roland. Sorry.
See, I think that, and you wrapped up what I was going to, because I think that comes from our past few generations of men being raised by a bunch of women. So when you're around that estrogen, when you're around Big Mama, when you're around your mother and your sisters, what you do is you facilitate her insecurities. How this look on me? Oh, it's
That's
all
this
right.
guy right here.
Yeah. And you what you do is you grow up like that, and then when she piss you off, then you talk your big butt shouldn't have got in the dress anyway. But when you become mature, when you start to say, man, I'm a man and I can stand on a man's word. So if you like it or not, it is what it is. So I'm just gonna say this. I'm not saying it to be malicious or anything like that. But if you ask me a question, you go get an answer. You may not like it, but if you don't want to answer, don't ask me the question. And I think that we as men, that's why I got how many out of them 12 grandkids? 9 grandsons. I have to show them a good example of what a man is, not a pushover, not a do boy, not a I'm the man of my house. I'm the man of one wife. I got to show them how to respect a woman. I got to show them all these things, not just, oh, I'm doing it just so she'll be quiet. Because if I don't, she'll do this. No, because what you're doing is you're teaching them to be simps, wimps, and then they grow up like that and they think, oh, I can't say nothing to nobody. I got to sit in the corner and suck it up. No, you don't have to suck it up. You don't have to be rude about anything, but you still you sit in the seat of a man. And if you're the so-called king of your castle, you have the responsibility of acting like a king, not like a wimp.
And you know, that is cute. You know, I cannot understand for the life of me, and I'm so happy I live my life the way I live it. Why can't you be brutally honest with somebody? That woman is representing you when she steps out of the house. Is she dressing for you, or is she dressing for some other men to look at her? You know what you like. You know, the other day, this is a perfect example. The other day, my friend was correcting his wife, and she asked him, honey, do you like this? And he said, I like it, but I don't have a problem with it, but I wouldn't wear it. And you know what she heard? He doesn't have a problem with it. And I'm like, why you? That's what she heard. And the thing is, he did have a problem with it. And I said, dude, I know you hate her in that. You told me yourself when she was going to the gym, you hate her in that. He goes, Antoine, you know what? I want to come home to peace. I go, but why are you reinforcing the negative? Why are you showing support towards it? Just tell her it's not her color. It doesn't look good on her. She's got the camel toe going on. Like, be brutally honest, bro. Like, I don't understand why people have a relationship with someone they love and they can't be brutally honest. I'm not saying you have to be mean and you have to be condescending when you tell them the truth. But I'm just saying you have to tell them honestly, it doesn't look good. You don't like it. And if she truly loves you, she should be thankful that you're not letting her leave the house like that. Because she can get into the car, look over at you and say, well, you told me it was all right. Yeah, but I didn't think you would wear it. And it's like, but you see, you're making something bigger than what it is when you could have just settled it by being honest.
I'm going to be honest with you, Antoine.
Right?
The
And that's the
reason
kind
why
of people
that
I
is.
surround. And I want to
No,
say, in ending, that's the kind of people I surround myself with, because those people get me. Their wives get me. So I don't have to sugarcoat nothing. The turkey is dry. Thank God there's gravy on the table. What more do you need to understand if the turkey tastes good? Like I just said it to you, it's dry, but I'm glad there's gravy because the gravy make it taste a lot better. So maybe next year, you remember what I said, it was dry, so you'll add more cooking time or gravy on it. You guys try to make bad news sound pretty, like the woman I love is not supposed, I'm trying to support her in her negativity. No, you be honest with her. That's why you fell in love with her. And she'll be grateful that you're honest with her. You sleep
in
right
a
next
perfect
to her.
world, you would be right.
Well, here's a good time. I want Coach, before you go rolling, I want Coach to kind of not break down, but just kind of explain what this is for the audience. You know, what does it mean to not be maliciously honest? 'Cause I think kind of what Antoine is talking about, but I just want to clarify it.
Well, so malicious, I mean, again, malice is ill will intent, like something like intentionally to damage another person. And we as men, we got to be careful here, because if you ask me a question and I respond, and Pastor, I'm gonna go off of what you mentioned previously, her reaction, not response, but her reaction to my response can be extremely emotional, right? And then we got to be careful, because generally men tend to match energy. So when you elevate, I elevate. But you know, we're unfair sometimes, right? Because if you throw a rock at me, I'm gonna throw a brick at you. If you come in the house with a knife, I'm pulling out the gun. We don't fight fair. And so the key is in the art of communication. I talk about this all the time. The art of communication, we always must remember that we are not opponents. We are not the enemy, right? Even though tensions can get high, sometimes we may need to take a time out and come back and revisit this conversation 30 minutes later after we go outside, get some fresh air, drink some water, do some push-ups, do whatever it is you got to do, right? But we cannot, especially men, because this is something I learned about me. I was that person that, being in the Army for 24 years, we put some serious words together, right? I was a person who could put together a sentence that make a person feel that tall by the time I finished talking. And the sentence never ended. It was a run-on sentence that sounded like a paragraph. But by the time I strategically put these words together, at the end, you're not going to want to say anything in response out of fear of what I'm going to say next. So we got to be careful with our words, because sometimes those words sting hard. And I'm just being honest. So the key, I'm with you, Antoine. Let's be honest, but let's make sure that we're not maliciously honest. I can tell you, if you ask me whether I like something or don't like, it's my choice. Either I can say yes or I can say no. The question to you, young lady, or whoever I'm talking to at that particular point in time, are you asking me that question because you're giving me the option, or have you already predetermined my option and you just want me to validate what you're thinking? So we just got to be careful with the malicious piece.
And I agree to a certain extent, because like I had this situation last year with one of my sisters. She just turned 34, and she had 6 kids, and she got however many baby daddies. And she was coming, she talking to me, her big brother. She in her 30s. I'm oh no, I got my daughter is 2 years younger than her. And she said, talking to me, why she can't get a good man and all this other stuff. And I said, one, because you on Facebook, you either got scriptures coming out your mouth or you get your titties all out. They don't care about them scriptures. They looking at your titties. And those are the men that you pick. Those are the dudes that you bring home. And then you bring them home, not that they make you their wife, but they make you their little sperm receptacle, and you allow that. So that's what they treat you as. And I can't say that no nice way. I gotta get your titties off Facebook.
That's not malicious, bro.
It ain't at all.
Yeah, that's
But
not malicious. That's
some
honest.
people would say, "Oh, you being too hot." No, I'm not. You got 6
But
kids.
the
You're
issue
34.
is there's no difference nowadays. There's no difference between being honest and being malicious. Whenever we're honest, and I'm talking in a male-female dynamic. You see us sitting here,
perception.
right? See us sitting here, we can be honest with each other and understand it. Okay, coach said this to me, but he's saying this to me because he sees something in me that he knows I'm not doing. That's, you know what I'm saying? He knows that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. With women, for some strange reason, when you're being honest with them, it's taken as a personal attack on them instead of what they're doing. And they don't know how to differentiate. So I can understand why old boy said, okay, you look fine, but I wouldn't wear it, because he ain't want no trouble. That's really what it is. He didn't want no trouble. And that same face you made, Antoine, is the same face I made when you told that story, because I would have said, hey, go change. You understand what I'm saying? I would have said, go change. But that's
I can't
me
get
being
in trouble in my house though.
exactly. That's me being honest. But I'm not being honest saying, oh, you look horrible in that because you're a horrible person. Go change. It's, I don't like that on you right now. Maybe you should put on something else so that matches you. And then we can go out, because like you said, Antoine, you're representing us. It's
But
not
look at the
about you.
mindset.
It's about us.
Look at the mindset that was created. I'm sorry, Pastor, give me 2 seconds. Look at the mindset that was created from the previous generation, right? Happy wife, happy life.
Oh Lord.
That's ingrained in us, bro.
I mean,
It used to be.
Yeah.
Now
I
my
see.
happiness is paramount.
Well, let me, Garfield, if I could,
Handle it.
let's not take it to the wives. Let's not talk to the girl. I'm gonna come to the teenagers, right? I'm gonna come to parenting, because I have an 18-year-old daughter, I have a 16-year-old son. Let me take it back. I got a 25-year-old son. My daughter would have been 24. She passed away when she was 15. I got a 23-year-old son. I got an 18-year-old daughter tomorrow. Her birthday is tomorrow. She'll be 18 tomorrow. And I got a 16-year-old son to be 17 in April, right? So not even talking about my wife. Even how I talk to the children, to young adults, to my daughter, I have to really watch what I say. And it's not because she don't know her dad love her. It's not because she don't know that her dad won't go shoot up the whole world for her. It's not like that my daughter don't know that that my dad will move the mountains to get me whatever. But it's that emotional side that Google, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Have I missed one? Instagram. All of these platforms, all these social medias, everything else is telling them
the worst one of them all.
Like we're not fighting, and this is just me. So when I make a decision to tell my daughter how she's doing something wrong, I got to be very careful not to lose her. And people be like, no, you her dad. You should be able to say it. I should, but I have a responsibility, because if I say something without saying it the correct way, I'm planting a seed that that's going to grow in it. That's going to grow in her. So that doubt. So if she says, Dad, can you buy me this dress for her 18th birthday? I said, baby girl, let me tell you something. That dress is a little too short. I don't really know about that. Now, did I buy the dress? Yes, I did. But I told her, I did when I did. I said, baby girl, let me tell you, this dress comes with things. You're 18, you're still in high school. I'm gonna let you wear this because I need you to teach this now, because next year you're gonna be down there in Southern and down in college. And I need to make sure that you understand that you don't make the dress make, the dress don't make you make the dress. So therefore, I want you to understand that you don't need to wear this. So it's got to become a teaching moment. So that's the problem that I have when you're trying to watch my kids' feelings, because social media tell me or tell them he must not love you. He body shaming. He's telling you, that you ain't right, and that this and this and this and that. And I'm like, oh my God, are you serious?
May I please? You know what? I like the fact that I love the fact you brought training to the conversation, because this was part of my redevelopment, right? And this is why I stress the environment, because whenever she shows up, whoever she's going to be, right? She is going to be that person that understands honesty and open-mindedness. And then I don't have to sugarcoat it. Here's the best part about it. And I talk about these relationships because these relationships are important. And Chris knows exactly what I'm talking about. There's a special relationship, a unique relationship between a father and a daughter. That is a loving relationship. There's a special relationship between a mother and a son. That is a loving and nurturing relationship. But the training relationship is between the father and the son. The training relationship is between the mother and the daughter. So when my daughter come and ask me, Daddy, what do you think I look? That's the question. That's the conversation for me and your mama. Go ask your mama how you looking at dress. I'm not going to sit. Now, if mama tell you the wrong thing, then I'm the guard at the door. You ain't leaving here looking like that. And I had to do that years ago. Because I don't know, back in the days you had those shorts that were so short to where the pocket hung below. Yeah. So my daughter, who at that particular point in time, she was 16, right? That's that age, right? She's 16 years old. I just got home from work and she came out the room and I'm sitting in my favorite chair. I didn't even take my uniform off yet. Sitting in my favorite chair and she come around the corner. She said, "Hey, Dad." I said, "Hey." And she is making her way to the door. I said, whoa. Where are you going? "Oh, well, I'm going to the mall. Come on back in here for a second." "But Dad, they can wait. Tell them you'll be a minute. Come on back in here." Mama, come on right here for a second. Did you see this? So you see what I'm saying? I'm not. It's not just me, because I already don't agree with it. She knew it. That's why she tried to make her way to the front door quick. So, but I called her back in. I called Mommy in too, because I need for there to be a baseline understanding in this house, right? We ain't advertising nothing coming out of during that time. My house number was 3507. 3507, we don't do no advertising. You know what I'm saying? Whatever we purchase because we wanted to go get it. So we ain't advertising nothing for nobody to come and buy from over here. So I said, did you see this? She said, "Yeah, that's a pair of shorts there. Did you approve of this?" She said, "Well, I didn't see nothing wrong with it." I said, I'm a young man. I'm a young man. And I know when I was around her age, if I seen a young lady come around me with some shorts on with all them legs, we gonna have a conversation. In fact, she may not want to talk to me, but I'm gonna be persistent because I want to have a conversation. Not because I want to get to know her, but I see them legs, all them legs. So She said, "Yeah." So Mama said, "Yeah, you got a point. Go change." And so I bring that to the table because it's more than one way to skin a cat. I want to start off by saying that, right? Whatever works within the family dynamics is perfect for that family dynamic. But for me, I was adamant because I did not want my children to experience teenage pregnancy. That was important for me because, just being transparent, Mama, my ex-wife, she had her child at the age of 17. So with that being said, the likelihood of that happening is possible. So for me, I was intentional about it not being possible. Now, does that mean I was a little overbearing and controlling? According to her, absolutely. According to my daughter, absolutely, right? But now she's 28 years old. I'm sorry, 29 years old. No child, has a career, has her own apartment. So she is self-sustained. So when I look at things like that, it's like, did I achieve the objective of her not having any kids before she got a chance at life? Absolutely. However, did I miss the mark on some things? Absolutely. Every parent does. And so I look at those things, and those are the things I try to correct so that for them and my grandchild, I want them to understand how to do it better than what daddy did.
See, for me, I have to apologize. Like, I have to, like, I tell anybody, as a single dad, because when I went through my divorce, I got the kids. Like, I fought for the kids, I got the kids. So I got the kids in like middle school. I've been having the kids by myself since like 6th grade, 7th grade. And that's crucial time. That's when, like, hey, I need some help here. Like, I need you to step in and kind of help, because she's okay. I can't get no help from you. Okay, so I got to do this on my own. Okay, I got to be, how you say, I got to train and love at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, okay. So I had to go back to my wife now. I had to go back and apologize, because I was like, yo, I know I messed up with some things with my baby girl and with my son. Like, I know I overcompensated. I know I let them get away with some things that normally they wouldn't have gotten away with. And listen, I apologize. But as a single dad with 2 middle schoolers, one living his best life, the oldest boy living his best life, and that was still her son. So when we got married, he was 6. When we got divorced, he was like 16, 17. And he was like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, well, you're gonna roll with me. He was like, okay. So now I got a 16, 17-year-old that I can't treat the same. I gotta train him, but then I gotta teach my daughter, which is in 6th grade, and then I gotta, son coming right along. So it's like I'm in the house by myself. I gotta train, love, train, teach, train, love on, secure, protect. And then they don't understand why I'm treating the other one like that. But like I can't, like, I got to get with him, because if I don't get with him, the streets gonna get with him. So my daughter didn't understand. So I had to literally apologize, because I didn't know what to say. And now that created to the guidelines. So Uncle Junior, when you was talking about what created my guidelines and like my baselines and my foundation, I got to go back and reestablish those things, because now that I'm married and I do have that wife that can say, hey, wait a minute, I don't think she need to wear that. You don't think so? Cool. Hey, you ain't wearing it. Nope. She said, nope. Now my job becomes easier and my voice becomes quieter, but what I'm saying becomes louder, because I got somebody to help with that. And when you don't have that help as a single dad, and like you said, Dwayne, I'm learning and teaching and training and everything all in one. And you don't know you make those mistakes until 4 years later. Like I said, my ex-wife had a baby when she was 17, 18 years old. So now that my daughter is 18 with no children, man, I did something right. My 16-year-old, he ain't out there wilding out like his dad was. Woo, I did something right. So it's just one of them things, man. It's just like I gotta, I'm agreeing with y'all, but like that baselines and stuff change. Now that I think about it, Uncle Junior, my baseline changed when it's dealing with my children, because I made those mistakes. And now that I'm married, they got a different life now. It's just not dad. And when they try to play that dad, what dad said, I had to tell my wife, listen, wait a minute. When they say that, call me right in front of them.
Absolutely.
Call me, don't even wait. Call me right. Hold on. Hey, Gary, did you tell? No, I ain't say that. Well, I said this, but she kind of perceived it like this. So let's go and get this nipped in the bud now.
Right.
So it's a learning thing. So my foundation is changing. The baselines is there, but it's changing. Now that I got a wife, I got to help. That relationship is changing. Then our relationship changed, because now she doesn't have any kids. I'm married up. My wife is 52 years old. Her birthday was Monday. My daughter's tomorrow. So it's like she don't have any kids. So now she's coming in as a mother, stepmom, or whatever you want to say, these cliches, but she's a mom now. She's in the house. And she's coming in dealing with all the years that I have spoiled the kids and went over beyond and overcompensated. Now she's got to come and clean that stuff up. And now me and her got to come together. And now everything that we thought we had, now we got to reconstruct everything. We got to restructure everything. And I found myself telling her all the time, I messed up. Hey, hold on, wait a minute, stop. You ain't gonna fuss at me now. I made that decision when she was 15, before you was even in the picture. And yeah, I messed up, but you know, it's what it is now. So let's just deal with this now. You're not gonna attack my character from a decision that I made when I was a single dad out there. And then I had women around me that could be there. Once again, I had a lot of women around me that could be there, that could be moms, mom 1, 2, and 3. But I didn't want to raise the kids in that lifestyle as dad being a player and having all these women come and go and come and go. Once again, that structured my relationships because I had to take, hey, I can't bring these women in the house. I got my daughter and my son. I don't want to set that. I don't want to do that. So Dwayne, I think that's a great thing. But if we look at it, Antoine, from like you telling your friend's wife, hey, you got a camel toe, that color ain't you. Get out of here. Go. You know, she probably can take that because she's an older, mature. I think somebody said in the chore, she's got to be a mature woman. But when you're dealing with those younger people, you're dealing with your kids, your daughter, your son. It's a different way to be brutally honest or a way to be honest with them because you still got to show them love.
Well,
I see.
That's where we're a little different. You know, my father's from the island. He had a strict hand. Woo, he had a strict hand. My father said it's straight. I don't need you to love me now. You love me later. Just do what I say now. You love me later. Don't worry about that. That's how he raised, right? And I'm so grateful for that because I never had to second guess him or did he mean this? Maybe he meant that. Oh, no, he meant that. And now my brother, who has his own daughter, he's very strict with her because, like I said, if she becomes a baby mama, Lord have mercy. Woo, oh man, boy, I think my brother will lose it. But like he said, son, he said the same thing to me the other day. I go, you want to be a little gentle. He goes, she'll love me later. I don't need her to love me now. What I need her to do is what I say now. She can do that loving later. And you know what? She's a great in school, strict. She knows when she asks him, she gets what she wants. But when he says something, she never questions it. She'll even go to the mother. What'd your father say? He said that? Yeah, you're going to have to do that one. Because they have that understanding. He's making sure she has the best outcome in life, right? Because he wants grandkids. He doesn't want it baby mama. He wants grandkids. He wants a marriage. He wants to pay for a marriage. He wants the ceremony. He wants the White House and picket fence where grandpa comes over and visits. And he said, I will see to that. And the day she started talking too loud, she can get out. And I was like, oh, damn, all right. I mean, that's how you want to raise it. Because I believe in tough love. Today in this modern world, you have to have tough love. If you don't, there's enough kids out there on the street that I see personally going like, where's your parents? You shouldn't be skateboarding like that. What are you doing hanging out in the corner with these guys in an oversized t-shirt or shirt or sweater? You should put a hat on your head and cap before you. I'm like, where are the parents in this? Right? And that's all I'm saying. But I totally relate to what you're saying. There has to be a certain kind of tone, a certain kind of, but I just don't want, like I said, all she heard was, he said it didn't look that bad. And I was like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. No.
And yeah, I know you saw my face because I can't have things. I think being the person who has raised daughters, and you know, I was a single dad and I had my daughters when they were in high school, and there will be times where me as father, I can't play like I want to be their friend. So when it comes to the dress and everything, I tell them straight up. Like I say something like, if you ain't selling it, why you advertising it?
Ooh, I like that. That's cool.
Because as a man, I know what men like to look at. I know, hey, you like to, hey, as much skin and cleavage as possible. And I think when you tell them these things and they see it come to fruition through other people or through their mistakes, they sneak off and wear something and then somebody grabbing them or all this stuff, you tend to gain a level of respect like, oh, that's my dad. That's not my friend. So when he comes to me, it's always out of love. It ain't out of he just trying to control me. No, I'm trying to tell you because I was having my first kid at 14. So I know what it's like for little horny boys to be out here just trying to stick and move. And I would tell them, this is how it happens. This is, hey, you got an algorithm. This is how it happens. A to B to C, period. And he can tell you this, and he can tell you he loves you, and if you don't do this and all this, But if he loves you, he'll wait. If he loves you, he'll respect you enough to respect your decision on it and not just his. And as the father, I think when we become single fathers, we want to do everything for them and be more of their friends and have them like us than have them be mad at us. And sometimes they just got to be mad. But you got to help me, and that's a good thing. And so now you have to make sure you undergird her decisions in her house, because you pay for it, but it's her house. And so they gonna have to respect it. Like, okay, she's the queen of this castle, so I can't just run to my daddy and say, well, it's my daddy. No, nope. What she say when it comes to that dress? What does she say when it comes to things of womanhood? Because if you respect her enough to make her your wife, you got to respect her enough to look at her decisions for them also as something that she loves.
So, Mr. Roland, I'm asking you a question. How can I say this? Because I know we are going to be viewed by millions of people later. So let me not hold on. Let me
facts on that, and I received all of it.
Listen, let me fix
Speak it into existence.
let me fix this statement. I don't know how to fix this, but I got to give a disclaimer. This is just a comment because of the day's time that we're in.
Right.
You got to even take it a step further, because now it's like I'm having a conversation with my daughter, not just watch out for the boys. You got to watch out for the girls.
What? Been there, done that.
Watch out for the girls. Like she's been approached. She's been asked out. She's been, I'm like, okay, new ball game. Hold on. But then I tell her, still the same principles. Like, I just need you to be a lady. I had to tell her, listen, and y'all might not agree with me. People gonna be like, but you're a pastor. Now I'm like, I don't care. I'm telling y'all now. This is what I told my daughter. If you're gonna be gay, be the woman. I'm not teaching you to be a man, right? And people are like, well, why would you say that? Her mother remarried a woman, been married for 3 years, getting ready to have a child. Like, that's the other side of this coin. Right. So I can't say, no, I can't say that, because now you're going to run to your mom and she's going to give you some bad advice, or she's going to give you some great advice, but at a bad time. Because the advice that she give you is going to be great, but at 17, 18, she shouldn't give you that advice. That advice should come when you're 23, 24. So I get it. So I'm at a point now where I got to talk to my daughter and my son like, hey, be the girl, be the lady. I'm not teaching you to be a boy. I haven't showed you how to be a boy. I ain't showed you how to navigate and talk to women and all that. I ain't showed you that. Matter of fact, I ain't even showed my son that. I tell him all the time, when you start dating, come and talk to me. And he did. He's 16. He told me that, hey, Dad, I think I want to ask this young lady out. And she turned him down only because she had a boyfriend at another school, and they still friends. So it was a turn down, but it really wasn't a turn down, but it was still a turn down. But he accepted that. He was okay with that. He learned from that. And I believe the next time he want to go talk to somebody or date somebody, he's going to come back and talk to me. Yep. But that is something that we have to keep in mind too, with dealing with the way we talk to, you see what I'm saying?
I feel you, because I think we focus on the pregnancy part, right? But we don't focus on the whole act of giving yourself to somebody. And I think it, like you said, it's to somebody. It's male, it's female, right. They think they're gender fluid and all that other stuff. And I think when you're teaching your children, like a lot of people say, well, if my kid is this, I'm gonna disown them and I'm gonna do. No, you're gonna love your kid.
You're gonna love them.
I mean, that's your doggone kid. Right. I mean, like all my babies are my babies, and just, but naturally, like you said, your son's 16. Your son, I guarantee you, he knows about sex, period.
He do?
He does, because TV, videos, radio, this thing, these things, they all teach you about sex, even when you ain't listening. Cartoons, whatever it is, they teach you about sex, even when you ain't paying attention. So when it comes to those conversations, that's where you got to have a sit down and just be, hey, let's talk. You
Right.
got to be so open to where it's like, let's talk. Well, what they saying nowadays. And like when I would talk to my daughters when they were teenagers and everything, I wouldn't use uncommon terms when we would talk about things. I'd say, hey, that boy, he ain't gonna say suck my penis. He ain't using that
Right.
vernacular.
Right.
So I would use the common vernacular that they were using, and I would have an open, honest discussion. And whatever you come telling me, it's open and honest here. It ain't no judgment zone right here. And I think that brought a level of respect to where sometimes as daddy, it's like, oh, I don't want to hear this, but you got to hear it, and it's their truth. So you got to allow them to be in their truth and stand. Never stand with them in their wrong, but stand with them in their development.
Absolutely.
But you know what? I don't have kids, so I would like to say I'm looking forward to the day I can have kids or will have kids. But I think like we need to teach these kids how it's nice to be loved by somebody else, to have a partner, to grow with somebody, to build with somebody. All this big boss and boss chick and all this, independent shit.
I can do bad all by myself.
I can do bad. No, you can't. Because
Exactly. You already
At the end
doing
of the
bad
night,
by yourself, stupid. That's why you need somebody.
Exactly. And I keep saying it, one day I'd like to have sex when I don't want her to leave, right? Because right now, every time you call in from the bullpen, it's like, God damn, I can't wait to leave in the morning, right? What? I'm waiting for that day when I could say, you could stay. You really could stay. Trust me on this one. And it's not because I want to get another nut off. It's because I really like you to stay, right? There's only so much of that you can do. But I think people need to express to their kids how nice it is, rather gay and not gay, how nice it is to be loved and have another person to love. Because there's only so much of that independence bullshit that you could take. I mean, sometimes you get tired of hearing your own thoughts, right? You do want to bounce things off of people. You do want to watch TV. You want to go shopping for someone. You want to send flowers to someone. And I think that we're not teaching these kids. We're teaching them how to get the bag, how to be successful, how to grow, how to, like the more money you make, the baddest dimes you get. But we're not teaching them how to love with somebody, how to build with somebody. Because like I said, looks and height goes out the window when you're standing on your wallet. But besides that, teaching them how to love, like I look at my parents and I can say, God damn, 7 years, Dad? Like the same woman? How do you do it? He goes, I married her. I loved her. That's who I want to be. She knows everything about me. I ain't moving. And now my brother is in his 20 years, and he's like, dude, it's tough, man. But you know what? I always want to come home to her and make sure things are right. And he's passing that on to his daughters. And his daughter's like, Dad, daughter came the other day and goes, you think I'll find a relationship like you and mom? And I'm like, gosh, she said that? And this girl's like, what, 14? And I'm like, he goes, because he's teaching her that. He's teaching her the importance of uncles coming over, uncles giving them presents, all in the same house, yelling in a room, not out in the open, going to the car when you want to scream. And she's like, I want that life, as much as she's doing well in school. And I think we need to really start teaching kids how to build families and how important it is, to respect a relationship and to find one that could take care of you. And then you take care of each other and grow old together. When I don't hear 70 years today. I hear 10, 20 maybe. But 70? God damn. I just
10, 20, I hear 5.
Right, you get
5
It's like,
Antoine, you know what? Here's what we can do. While we at it, we about to close up shop. We're gonna get into the final thoughts, or aka the benediction. So we're gonna start with you, Antoine. Gentlemen, check the chat, please, for the order.
Okay. Well, this was a great conversation we had. And the building part of it and the nurturing part of it and what made us do what we want to do and make the decisions we want to make. And I really want to leave off with this message that I just said. I really think we need to teach our kids and our young adults how to love with somebody, how to be with somebody, how to grow with somebody, how to build a family with somebody. Yes, believe me, as a single man, it's great to make the money. It's great to get the bag. It's great to achieve your goals. And I've always said it on this podcast. I took that to the extreme, right? Making me not have kids today in my 40s. And I'm like, God damn, and now I want it. So now I can provide, I can do all that. But there's not a day that goes by that I don't say, you know what, maybe I should, the one that got away. I have that in my life. And I think we need to teach our young kids today, and especially the girls, right? To build with a man, to wait for that special guy to come along and have a kid with, to have a family, to grow, to see what it's like to have uncles, and to learn from other people's mistakes, to grow with somebody, to love that one and only person. Look at them with your heart, not with your eyes, because that gets old, but the heart lives forever and beats forever. That always stays young. My father keeps saying it today. He looks at my mother with the same eyes he looked like when he fell in love with her. That's what he sees in his 80s. And I'm like, God, really? And I think that's what we need to teach our kids. That's what's important. And build a bag, achieve your goals, get all so you can be a good provider to the woman you fall in love with and grow. Because she does take care of you and has a role of taking care of you, just like you have a role of taking care of her, providing and making sure she has the best life possible with you. So when you cannot function, this woman's able to lift you up. And that's what we need to teach our kids today, because gone is the family. People are okay with this external baby mama shit and this and that because they don't know how to love, and some women even have a kid so they have someone to love them. And I think we need to further that with our kids today. That's it.
Oh boy. I'm going to leave with this. I'm going to suggest that you find a baseline and you find a guide for the things that matter, like relationships, mindset, health, fitness, longevity. Find somebody that can teach you what you need to learn and what you don't know, and help you unlearn the things that have taught you, that you have already learned, that got you to where you are, but aren't helping you progress. It's not turning your back on those who taught you before. It's understanding that what they taught you cannot get you to the next level, and you do not know enough to get there by yourself. We are better together than we are apart. Find somebody that you can work together with for longevity. And I'm going to leave it with that.
Muted, brother.
My bad. All right, so we kind of talked about it earlier. I think most of our decisions, whatever those decisions are, whether it's a relationship, whether it's how you deal with your friends on the street, which is still a relationship, whether you deal with finances, relationship, how you deal with on your job, relationship. So, in other words, however you deal with any form of a relationship is based upon your belief system. I believe wholeheartedly that your belief system must be rooted based upon some doctrine of principles. Um, a lot of times, what we do is we take a lot of the things that we were taught and we bring it into our adult life, and then we make decisions based upon those. And those things are good as long as it has some type of principle that's reinforced. Our experiences are our experiences. We should not ever use the experiences against anyone else. So, it is a requirement for me to learn from my experiences and then bring the lessons learned forward into my current situation, not the experience forward. Um, and then from there, what I think you need to do before getting into a relationship with anyone else is develop a good relationship with yourself. You need to, kind of analyze your behavior, look at how you deal with certain things, manage your emotions, all that great stuff, and then ask yourself a great question, right? And the greatest question that you can ask yourself is, you know, how comfortable you are with sitting with yourself. I think COVID-19 taught us a valuable lesson. People who've been married for several years realize they didn't really like spending a whole lot of time with one another because COVID-19 made them stay in the same house for an extended period of time. How good of a person are you to be around? That's important to understand. So again, belief system that is rooted in principles, and then have a good relationship with yourself, right? And in order to do that, you need to have a good personal identity. And that's a whole nother conversation. And then I also believe that you need to be, again, radically transparent and radically honest, and surround yourself with people who are able to handle those types of things. But in order for them to handle it, you must first handle it as well. You got to be able to handle somebody being honest with you. You got to be able to handle somebody being straightforward with you. And all of those things come to bear. And last but not least, I'm gonna go back to what Antoine said. Learn how to love. I don't think we live in a society that teaches love. We live in a society that teaches like. And social media kind of reaffirms that everything is like this, like that, like this. And when you look at a lot of relationships aren't founded in love today. It's founded in like. And lo and behold, if you ever make somebody upset, they think you don't like them. No, that's not even true. I cannot like you at this particular moment and still love you. That is a thing. So I think that's important to understand. So all of those things together, and I think you'll get to the point to where you make the right decisions in relationships.
All right, first, I just want to say, first of all, I want to say thank y'all to everybody for having me. I know this is my very first time being here. I enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed the building. My only final thought, in summing everything up that we had talked about, and what I keep hearing is, I know not Roland, but I know Dwayne them said love. But my thing is also about the respect factor. Once you be able to respect yourself, and then everybody else will be able to respect you. You hold yourself accountable, and everybody else can be able to hold you at that same level of what you hold yourself to. I know everything we've talked about today was basically changing your mindset and having a foundation. And yes, the Word of God is definitely one that I would really recommend for anybody, is to get into the Word of God. Now, once again, let me be very clear about this. When I say the Word of God, that could be your Quran, that could be your way of worshiping. I can say, so when I say get into the Word of God, get into relationship with God, find Him for yourself, know Him for yourself, and experience Him for yourself. But aside from that, I just ask everybody just to respect yourself and respect others, because once you learn how to respect somebody, then the love becomes a little bit easier. And that's all I have. I thank you guys for actually having me out. Appreciate you.
For me, it's only one thing: old school R&B. No, I'm just kidding. I had to joke, but find yourself a perfect couple. And when I say a perfect couple, I don't mean two perfect people, because that doesn't exist. But a perfect couple would be two people that work together for the common goal of the family, of the marriage, of the whole. And when you've seen them, they've been through the ups and the downs, and they stuck together. They found a way to make it through, not just sticking together just to be together, but they stuck together and worked it out in a healthy manner, to where they realized that the love supersedes everything else, and they still maintain that. So with everything everybody else said, if you can find yourself positive examples of what falling and getting up looks like, that'll be definitely beneficial and something to look forward to in your own life, because you'll realize that it's not about when somebody falls, because you will fall, you will have disagreements, but it's about how you handle the person and how they handle you in your adversities and in your discomfort and questionable situations. That's where you find out who's actually for you and who's not for you.
Amen. I appreciate everything that's been said here. It was a great conversation. We didn't get to all the questions, but that was okay. We found something, we dialed into it, and I think we ended up with a great show and a great conversation, man. I just appreciate everybody, that was on here today. You know what I mean? So to the audience out there, before you go, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and share it with someone you think could benefit from it. Um, Thank you to all of the Wolfpack members who joined in today's episode of Elevated Dialogue. Like I said, I really appreciate you guys being on here today. As when we talk about, when we over on Coach's shows on Friday night, I'm plug his show. Hey, that's one of the things he always talk about, is how everybody else add value to his show, and it's the same thing over here. I mean, the show wouldn't be possible without you guys. So like I said, a plug Coach's show Friday night, Empowering Perspective podcast is 7 or 8. I keep forgetting.
8 o'clock.
8
8
o'clock.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right.
I think my mama Uncle Junior said your birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
birthday
happy
tomorrow.
early.
It is right.
Yeah.
Happy
Hey,
birthday.
here we go.
Happy
Hey,
early.
a big shout out to the most elevated channel on YouTube. And last but not least, thank everyone who tuned in today. We had a
Happy birthday, man. I did not know that.
hey, that's all we got to say about this. See you all next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for another episode of Elevated Dialogue here on the Uncle Junior Network. We are out.